Hey, good morning, all. Josh's Severe Weather. Happy Sunday to you. Typically, I don't do a Sunday video, but we've got some destructive weather in the forecast Tuesday into Wednesday. And I know a lot of you in the plains, in the Midwest, in the South are cleaning up from the major storms that hit on Friday. Please don't kill the messenger, but I think the next outbreak is going to be a lot worse. And I wish I had better news for you guys, but just a lot to talk about here. I'm getting ready to go on vacation, so this is probably going to be my last major video. We'll see how the internet is at the hotel I'm staying at in the future here, but let's go ahead and share the even bigger tornado outbreak. I'm expecting two high-risk areas once again. These areas are going to look very similar, especially that northern area, to what we had on Friday. The southern area is actually going to be a little bit farther west. Not to rule things out in Tennessee and Mississippi, but I think this next outbreak is going to evolve more in Arkansas, which I know if you're in Little Rock, you have definite need to be concerned about this scary looking forecast. And I think in Little Rock, this is going to be a scary outbreak for you, especially with the nighttime tornadoes on Tuesday expected. If you're watching from the Midwest and the Great Lakes, you too are in the path of these storms. The difference with this storm is that it's actually going to bring that threat farther northeast into Ontario, into central New York. And Wednesday looks like a pretty big severe weather day farther north and west of what we saw yesterday. But we will have severe weather as well later today into tonight across Texas and parts of the deep south. That's not highlighted in this area, but I will talk about it because I think we're going to see some destruction down there as well. So Mother Nature is not happy with folks. And I don't really have an answer to that. I mean, you see what's going on in the world today. Look, let's just leave it at that. All right. I'm not going to get into political stuff, but there's organizations out there that are supposed to be forecasting and saving lives. Instead, they are doing other things that are signaling some virtues, if you know what you mean. But anyway, moving on, here's the water vapor, and you guys can see here is the next huge trough moving into the western U.S. this weekend. And we've got a leading shortwave out ahead of it. There's a bit of a spin over New Mexico. That is going to increase the amount of upper level dynamics for some severe weather across North Texas later on this afternoon into tonight. Fortunately, in the east, we are quieting down. Here's our major storm moving away from Nova Scotia. The next one, though, is going to take a similar path, but instead of cutting east and east-southeastward, there's going to be a big ridge building into the east here on Monday and Tuesday. That's going to divert the path more off to the north into Canada. And because it's going to take that track, instead of zipping eastward, it's going to move northeast and allow a trough to bring in colder air into the north central U.S. and a bigger winter storm expected out of this. Here's a recap of the number of severe weather reports from this past storm: 848 on Friday and 366 yesterday. We've seen probably 1,300 severe weather reports. I think the next outbreak is going to bring that up over 1,500. And tornado reports, 82 so far. We may get close to 100 once the surveys are done. I think the next outbreak will bring over 100 tornadoes and more EF4s and EF5s. And I really hope I am wrong on this. But here is the severe weather outlook for the day on Tuesday, and especially into Tuesday night, and a bigger area of enhanced risk than the last one. They've got a bimodal again, where we've got one big area here with the low pressure track and another area here with the supercell storms that are expected from northeast Texas into the Ozark Plateau of Missouri. These will likely get upgraded as we get closer to the event. We saw that exact thing happen here with the last system. By the way, there will be an enhanced risk today for the threat for very large hail and tornadoes, some of which could be strong. A significant severe weather outlook here for over 10 million folks in Texas and far southern Oklahoma. That includes the Metroplex and Austin, Texas, as well as north central Texas, Wichita Falls, and the surrounding area. We do see the risk for over 20 million people in this severe weather threat just today alone. And this is not even going to be the main event. Tomorrow, the risk for severe weather is going to be smaller. There may be some in the southeast. Additional storms overnight will pop up in north central Texas, in Oklahoma, as well as an area we're going to keep an eye on in Illinois. This will come overnight. We've got almost 15 million people in that marginal risk, but it does not appear to be a big tornado threat. More likely locally strong winds and eventually some hail as well. But the day 3 outlook is, of course, the big day, Tuesday the 4th. I've talked about it for over a week. Really, there shouldn't be any surprises other than the fact that the same areas that just got hit are going to get hit again. And oh, by the way, Chicago is in this significant severe threat along with over 30 million people, almost 30 million people. just east of Dallas, right on up to Chicago, with highlighted tornado areas in northern Missouri, western and central and northern Illinois, eastern Iowa, and from northeast Texas straight on through the majority of Arkansas into the Ozark Plateau. Fortunately, a little farther east, Nashville and Tupelo are not in this risk. The storm track is a little farther northwest, and that means the threat for severe weather is more limited and the timing is a little bit different out of this. So it's not going to be a carbon copy. I want to show you guys what the Colorado State severe weather probability forecast is. It's almost off the charts. The epicenter, according to this forecast, is west central Illinois near Quincy. But you see another large area over northern and central Arkansas, including Little Rock, with over a 60% chance of severe weather in this area and as high as a 68% chance over here. That is bigger than the day 4 forecast from a couple of days ago, where that maximum was only about, I want to say, maybe 50 to 55%. So we're already at a higher ceiling. And you can see we had almost 1,000 reports of severe weather in here, with the hatched area encompassing Arkansas and southern Missouri. That was the day 4 from a couple of days ago. The day 3 climbed northward, and this is the day 4 from yesterday. It's probably going to grow today, and you can see it actually covers a bigger area. So very scary stuff. Here's the reason why. This is the NAM model, and you guys can see just a powerful storm moving into the western United States here tomorrow, and that is going to bring even faster winds aloft up into the plains. This is at 500 millibars. We saw 100 to 110 knot winds at 500 millibars from the last system. This one's got 135 knot winds, so there's a higher ceiling, and that could mean stronger tornadoes, including the threat for a high-end EF4 or even EF5 farther north into Iowa and Illinois. I think somebody here is going to see an EF5. Wednesday evening, but really hard to say where. It also means faster winds aloft down across the area that's going to have higher instability, including Arkansas. The last storm system had 60 to 70 knot. Now we've got over 70 knot winds, maybe up to 80. So very scary look on the NAM. Oh, by the way, this first shortwave here that moves through, it doesn't look like much here on the upper level pattern, on the upper level chart, but 50 to 70 knot winds here over North Texas is nothing to shake a stick at. It's going to be pretty intense with this leading shortwave that moves east, and that is going to carry into Alabama and Georgia and northern Florida here during the day on Monday, and could increase the chance for a few tornadoes there. The upper air chart at 500 or 850 millibars, this is kind of your lower level jet, and you can see that it is picking up here tonight over Texas. It's not super intense, but it is picking up. But as we get on into Tuesday afternoon, and especially Tuesday night, you can see this area of winds continues to grow, and we've got 70 to 80 knot winds, so almost 90 mile per hour winds at 850 millibars. So whether or not we see a tornado, there will be the threat for widespread wind damage in this area, with wind gusts likely getting to 90 to 110 miles per hour with any of those thunderstorms. Basically a derecho, tornado-like winds expected here. We're going to see probably some particularly dangerous situation tornado watches, and these upper level winds are screaming when they get into Ontario, Canada, and the Great Lakes here. We've got 60 to 70 knot winds at 850 millibars Wednesday. The NAM doesn't go past 2 o'clock in the afternoon Wednesday, but I do think we're looking at some significant severe weather, at least an enhanced risk in this area across eastern Ohio, northwestern PA, western New York, into lower Ontario, including Toronto. And I do think we're going to see widespread wind damage, much like we saw yesterday in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and parts of Maryland. All right, so let's go back to today and tonight. And this is Central Time. We see around 3, 4 o'clock storms popping up here around the Red River. Some of these could get intense with very large hail around 5, 6 o'clock. I think we are going to see some tornadoes in this zone here. This continues into northern Louisiana and turns into just a thunderstorm complex, a little bit weaker at this point overnight. Jackson, Mississippi, keep an eye on things here overnight. And then this moves out of the area, and then we get a break before storms pop up here late Monday night and especially early Tuesday morning. Farther east on the HRRR, you can see maybe some severe weather over the Arklatex region here right around 11 o'clock to midnight tonight. Then things start waning some. But tomorrow we still have to watch for a resurgence over southeastern Alabama, southwest Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle for locally severe weather, and maybe a couple of tornado warnings at that point. But things should quiet down overall as we get into later tomorrow into tomorrow night. So that's kind of wave one Taking a peek at Texas here, you can see lots of supercell storms moving pretty quickly right on through the Metroplex here tonight around 7 o'clock. Large hail, tornadoes certainly possible. You can see quite a few areas here where we have some intense storm tracks. This continues on and moves out of the region around midnight tonight. Farther east, we see everything kind of zipping in pretty quickly here tonight. Northwest Louisiana, 8, 9 o'clock. Keep an eye on things around Shreveport, Bossier City, Natchitoches, heading into Monroe as we get to about 10 o'clock tonight, and then moving out around 2 or 3 in the morning. But the Rolling Fork area, Vicksburg, all need to watch out for severe weather tonight between about 1 and 3 in the morning. And then moving out of Jackson around 6 a.m. Meridian could still be under the gun. Hattiesburg could be under the gun. And then things will move away into Alabama. And then finally, looking farther east, we see the threat for severe weather not going to be as high across Alabama, just some rain and heavier storms around 5 in the morning. But southern Alabama, south of Montgomery, around Monroeville towards Dothan, we have to watch out tomorrow morning for maybe what could be a few tornadoes and some large hail and locally strong winds. Those will move out of Alabama here later tomorrow afternoon, and the weather pattern looks a little bit quieter until we wait on our next storm on Thursday. And finally, looking at Florida, we haven't had much rain, except Miami got a little bit of rain the other day, actually a lot of rain. But you guys could still see some severe weather around Tallahassee in the eastern panhandle here tomorrow afternoon between about 3 and 6 o'clock. And then those storms should start to diminish when they hit I-10 and move away to the east. But some severe weather possible here in the panhandle as well. Here's our significant tornado parameter. You can see things are climbing here in north central Texas, Big Sky country into Dallas. Probably not strong tornadoes, but maybe an EF1 or an EF2 possible in here. Certainly large hail is going to be a potential for us. And most of this is going to come over about a 4 or 5 hour stretch here late this afternoon into early tonight. Should be pretty good for the storm chasers out there. By the way, these numbers go off the chart Monday night, but everything is capped. So even though there's a strong amount of wind shear here tomorrow night, and especially early on Tuesday, we're unlikely to see storms in this area. You can see the lightning flash rate is non-existent. So sometimes these maps can be a little bit deceiving. And in this case, that is certainly going to be true, but I expect to see bright white colors over Arkansas, Missouri, and into Illinois Tuesday afternoon and into Tuesday evening, but the model has not been run out that far. Where could rotating storms be? Well, southwest Oklahoma, they start around 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and you can see several long track storms potentially with large hail, maybe a few tornadoes. The HRRR's got this one that's heading through north of Round Rock and southwest of Dallas, kind of right through central Texas, right through the heart of Texas here, and then continuing into Louisiana as we get into late this evening into the overnight hours. The Storm Prediction Center has a huge area that we're watching Tuesday night over eastern Iowa all the way down into northeast Texas. This is a 70% chance of seeing a significant tornado index over 5. And this is Tuesday evening, so a large area will likely see that risk for intense tornadoes. Not everybody's going to see those, but certainly something we're going to keep an eye on here. And the reason why we've got Cape that is growing here, this is heading into Tuesday, a large area of instability in 2 areas. The first one you see over northeastern Missouri, this area will likely see intense storms. The second area kind of follows up at night here, back across Oklahoma, and you can see there's not as much instability farther east, but it is high enough to support some intense storms. You can see, though, in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama that the instability is not going to be super high at night. In fact, it weakens some. Some better news, I think, for Kentucky and Tennessee, but there's still an area to watch that continues on eastward here Wednesday morning. Let me show you that in the Great Lakes, and quite a bit of instability here across Michigan. And the NAM doesn't go any farther, but I expect that this instability will still be big enough to support some afternoon severe weather over lower Ontario, northeastern Ohio, western PA into western and central parts of New York. And that would be during the day on Wednesday. Things will be moving along pretty quickly. Down south, there's quite a bit of instability as well, but the support is going to be lacking farther south. Having said that, there could be some stronger storms in this region still to keep an eye on. But really what I'm concerned about at this point is going to be heavy amounts of rainfall Wednesday morning carrying into Wednesday afternoon across parts of the south. The European model shows our big area of storms blowing up here late this afternoon, continuing tonight, and then shrinking some. We may see a few storms over parts of northern Missouri overnight into tomorrow morning. The southeast sees storms tomorrow afternoon. We do see additional storms popping up here on Tuesday as our front moves in and our cyclone deepens. And you'll see initially storms over eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, same areas that had strong tornadoes in Iowa. Notice how things aren't super active, though, yet around 1 or 2 o'clock in Arkansas. Then notice how quickly things are growing in the afternoon over southeastern Iowa, northeastern Missouri, western Illinois, and a second area that we're watching blowing up here. It's not gotten to Little Rock yet, so unlike Friday, not likely to see tornadoes in Little Rock during the day. However, nighttime is when things come alive here across northern and central Arkansas into the Ozark Plateau, and also northern Illinois likely to get crushed by severe weather. Chicago, we've got the risk, especially west of Chicago, for wind gusts to exceed 100 miles per hour as this intense upper level jet kicks its butt through the area here Tuesday night. And additional storms behind it with the cold front. Some of these could be severe as well as we get through the nighttime. And I think Dallas down to Austin and San Antonio could see storms overnight Tuesday night. Additional storms here popping up behind the first wave, so we could have more severe weather in Arkansas behind the first wave. I'm expecting 2 waves of supercells and intense tornadoes, and the first one looks to be worse, but definitely a nasty setup here Tuesday night. Wednesday, things move east. We do have to keep an eye on potential severe weather in the Delta region. That includes Rolling Fork and Jackson, even down to Natchez and Alexandria and Bunkie, Louisiana. But as we move farther east, we see intense storms moving into the Lake Erie region and even into Lake Ontario. You can see kind of the supercell storms leading out ahead of our main system. And these we have to watch out for tornadoes. Southwestern New York, southern Ontario, even into West Virginia. The threat for severe weather is lighter when we get down into North Carolina and Virginia, but it is still going to be potentially stormy. And then this is Wednesday night, and we'll have a lot of storms down south, maybe a little bit of severe weather, and then things start fading farther east Wednesday night into Thursday. Thursday afternoon, we'll have to watch for potential severe weather in Virginia and the Delmarva and Chesapeake Bay region. Localized gusty winds and hail. I don't think a big tornado outbreak. That could even go up to New York City like we saw yesterday. But the area of severe weather on Thursday looks to be more likely over Georgia and South Carolina. And it's not a big area at this point, just something I'm going to watch for you guys. And then this front's going to hang up and it will stay stormy in the Gulf states here, potentially into next weekend. So you can see this is the day 4 severe weather outlook. This is Wednesday into Wednesday evening, and a slight risk for eastern and central Michigan, eastern Indiana, much of Ohio, northern West Virginia, western PA, western New York. And if you expand this, I know Canada doesn't get in on this, we see much of Ontario will be in the slight risk. And I think there'll be an enhanced risk coming in the next couple of days across this region as well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that over the next couple of days. Finally, it's going to be a massive snowstorm with 2 to 3 feet over parts of Utah and Wyoming, maybe even 4 feet in the Black Hills. Blizzard conditions likely as we get to Tuesday and Tuesday night. A blizzard as well in northwestern Minnesota and the central and eastern Dakotas for the day on Wednesday, really Tuesday night into Wednesday. This is going to be a lot worse than the storm that we just had. And in Canada, we see a leading shortwave bringing some snowfall into Ontario and Quebec heading into Monday, where 10 to 20 centimeters is possible. And then the bigger round of snow comes Wednesday into Thursday, especially with amounts exceeding 80 centimeters over parts of northwestern Ontario. Farther south in Ontario, we could see a little bit of wet snow behind our severe threat, but really almost everything is confined to the northern half of Ontario and Quebec. Manitoba is going to get crushed as well here, especially east of Winnipeg and down towards the U.S. border, where we have amounts of 50 to 60 centimeters possible. So I really wish I could do more videos for you guys. I really do need the time off, but we're not done with severe weather, and I'm very much concerned with what I'm seeing on Tuesday evening into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. The next outbreak, unfortunately, I think is going to top the one we just had. If you are in this area, please, please, please consider maybe leaving the area, securing all of your valuables. Please tell your family members and friends. Don't wait too long. This is going to be one of the worst outbreaks of severe weather that we've seen in many years. If you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, I'm going to give you guys some community updates as I can. Please like this video, share with your friends, leave any questions. I'll be on the road, but when I'm not driving, I'll try to answer those. And I'm really just praying for everybody's safety. I am going to you, Lord God, through Jesus Christ, and I'm asking you to pray over everybody. I'm asking you to reign over everybody And John 16:33, I have told you these things that in me you may have peace. In the world you have oppression, but cheer up, I have overcome the world. The Lord, through his son Jesus Christ, who has risen, by the way, from the dead, so that we can have eternal life, is there to give us peace. Despite this oppressive weather, despite the political divide, despite everything else going on in the world today, please know that despite the bait of Satan here, we do have the gift of God through his son, Jesus Christ. That is amazing grace. That is eternal life because he is risen. And my blessings are there on many of you who are going through these difficult storms, just knowing that the Lord is there to protect you and to guide you towards Jesus. And that is the very reason I do what I do. It is to serve God, to serve the heavenly kingdom, and to help encourage you despite whatever you are going through, the storms in life. So I really much appreciate your time today. I hope you have a blessed Sunday and look forward to keeping folks posted on the upcoming weather. And if you are on YouTube quite a bit, I encourage you to visit my good friend Mitch West's page. He's going to have some very long videos on Tuesday and Wednesday, probably 50-minute breakdowns state by state of everything to be expected. And I trust him. He's a great forecaster. So thank you so much for your time today. God bless you. We'll see you again soon.